Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is JGod, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down some subscriber gameplay. This is a video series where subscribers submit gameplay, I go ahead and review them, break them down just a little bit, and give some tips and tricks on how they can improve. If you'd like to be featured in one of these videos, whether you're brand new to the channel or you're a long-time subscriber, make sure you read that description below so you can make sure you maximize those odds. Since it has been a little while since I've done one of these subscriber breakdowns, I've actually included multiple subscribers in this specific video. So hopefully it's not too long for you guys and you guys do enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video at all or enjoy any of the tips, remember to hit that like button. I do typically set a goal on these videos for around 200 likes. If you can help me get there, that'd be very appreciative. And then if you're brand new to the channel and you like Call of Duty or Call of Duty content related to news, in-game updates, best class setups, tip and trick videos, or videos like these where I break down subscriber gameplay, make sure you subscribe and turn those notifications on. Obviously, when we look at this first gameplay, we can see that the player's doing pretty good. He's running only lethal streaks, so I don't always recommend that. I recommend at least a recon plane so you can get some map awareness, because a lot about playing this game revolves around map awareness. Right here, he would have known where this guy was sitting. Obviously, this guy's kind of camped up on a new area in the new map, but he would have known because he was already on like a 5 or 6 streak, and he would have had a recon plane, would have had directions on where that guy was standing specifically based off that guy's class setup. So a lot of times what people do is they go aggressive on these kills, and they're hoping they're going to have one good match where they chain all these kills and they don't die, and they'll probably feel really good about it. But the problem with that is it lacks consistency. But you're going to notice a lot of times if you run a recon, at least to get that initial map awareness, it's only 4 kills with Blitzkrieg. So that'll allow you to know where people are on the minimap, have a better shot at predicting where people are going to be, position better, and you'll notice you have much more success at actually going on even longer streaks. Because in this particular case, the mortar and the artillery are very wasteful, especially if you don't have a recon in the air. A lot of times you're going to want to use that recon plane to allow you to give you map awareness so you can actually drop the mortar strike, because without a recon you're kind of just guessing. Same thing with the artillery barrage, you're just kind of guessing, let me put it in a high traffic area and get 1 kill. It's definitely kind of a waste to run both of those. If this player wanted just a little bit more consistency and they want to increase their actual kills overall, they should probably switch to that recon and fighter pilot for those first 2 streaks, keep the firebombing run, and keep the paratroopers. The other thing that's kind of a pet peeve to me, and it's kind of awful when you actually see the comparison, is the safe area. This player needs to go to their settings, go to the safe area, make their actual HUD as small as possible. So you're going to go out of your settings, look at graphics or whatever the setting is, and then you're going to look at safe area and then tighten that up. Decrease the horizontal, decrease the vertical, so you have a smallest possible rectangle in the middle of your screen. And that will help you a ton, especially if you're playing on TV, which a lot of people play on TV versus a monitor. And the several times that I've pointed out to my subscribers, they tell me it's a night and day difference, and it actually is. Just trust me on this one. Go to your settings, make sure you put that safe area as small as possible. And those are 2 big tips that I'd give this player, because when I actually watch them play the entire match, they go 42 and 14. We're not going to watch the entire match because they have very good accuracy. They snap on the targets pretty well. Obviously right there he gets out sniped, but there's not really much he could have done. He had to pick which player he had to shoot at. He shot the guy who was running towards him. The guy who quick scoped him just popped up. Quick scope, not much you can do there. But you can see he snaps on the targets pretty good reflexes. Accuracy seems on point with the sensitivity. And I know this player would love for me to say, hey, you need to do all these things better. But I would just say stay to the outskirts of the map, play smart, drop that score streak down to a recon, and something as simple as that will increase your KDR and score per minute. You'll probably be able to cycle those streaks and maybe drop that fighter pilot eventually, put that to a ball turret gunner, and you can go on some nasty, vicious, unstoppable metal streaks. So hopefully this player got something out of those couple tips, because I think it's just a handful of tips that will get them over the top, because it seems like they play smart. They're navigating the map the right way. They pretty much hit their shots at range. They tend to die right around that 4, 5, 6 streak mark, where they could have already had that recon plane. So I would love to see how changing their score streaks, adjusting that safe area, patrolling the outside of the maps will actually get them over the top on their kills. We'll go ahead and transition to the next gameplay. If you are enjoying it, remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into it. This player is running a solid Sten class setup. They are running mountain and ordnance so they can cycle through the streaks a little bit quicker. They are running really low streaks. As you can see, you got the Molotov, the recon, and a glide bomb. I would definitely swap out that glide bomb for a fighter pilot just right off the bat. You can see their HUD has that same issue, so I definitely check the safe area on this one as well. It looks like they're in the middle of the map. Stay away from the middle of the map, people. You're going to be in the middle of the map. Stay at B flag. You also got to keep in mind, literally where they were standing is probably the most naded area on this map, and they're not running armored or hunker. Obviously, like I said, I don't normally run hunker. Armored is a great choice because it helps with the recoil control and all that type of stuff when you get flinch. But overall, you're going to want to make sure that you're avoiding areas that are high nade areas. Wherever you would throw a nade, do not go in that area. So one big tip I would give this player is they should have gone for the B flag. Ideally, you want to have the spawn flag and B flag. You don't ever want both spawn flags. If you don't know what I mean, that means A and C should never be held at the same time unless you're a really coordinated team, because what ends up happening is you get really wonky spawns. So obviously there's people right here, and they're going to see that the spawns immediately flip. They're going to lose C, and then they should have had entire map control. They held on to B. The other downside with flipping the spawn so sporadically is what happens is you might have a good sight line right here, literally picking people off as they're coming out of spawn, as they're approaching the house. One of your teammates is on B, stopping people from going that way, and then pretty much everyone's spawning in front of you. Immediately once they spawn behind you, someone might still spawn, slip through the cracks, and they're going to end up shooting you in the back or the side or whatever the case is. This person isn't even running a suppressor, so they're not really off the mini-map when they fire their weapon. So that's something to be aware of. They do throw these little Molotovs here and there. They do play pretty aggressive. They did capture the objective, and they are holding 2 objectives. But it looks like their team is going to lose A again. And you can see now the other enemy team split A and C, which is a horrible idea again. I would highly recommend somebody hold 2 objectives. That's it. Map control, hold 60 to 70% of the map, and that's a smart way to play. Right here, he's kind of in a weird position because he's running an SMG. He's actually increased the distance on his gunfights by putting himself as far as back as possible. Obviously, right here, he's getting engaged with the sniper. His teammates are going off, so that's always nice. But he's standing in a predictable spot. He just fired his weapon. He's still standing still. You can see he's on the mini-map. There he goes. He's off the mini-map. You can see every time he fires his weapon on the mini-map, his triangle lights up. Look at how bright his triangle is. That means the enemy can see him on the mini-map. It's still lit up, and then now he's off the mini-map. So every time you fire your weapon, even if you have mountain, you're not fully protected. Right here, he's a little bit hidden because they obviously don't know where he's at. He hits A, they're able to maintain that. So look, they have the 2 spawns. Things are going in their favor, and they're locking down the area. Overall, this player goes really positive at the end too. They go 32 and 12. Half their deaths are from snipers, obviously just killing them. And a lot of times you get sniped, there's not really much you can do. He would have literally had to shoot this guy 4 or 5 times. Looks like this player is a little bit laggy, so when you go into a lobby, a lot of times you got to take those into account. Every lobby cannot be super consistent. You just kind of got to deal with it and expect that you're not going to have amazing gameplays. You can, but for the most part, it's going to be a little bit trickier when half your bullets don't register on someone skipping across the screen. Overall, it looks like the player is pretty accurate. Their map awareness is probably the thing they need to work on. Obviously, got to fix the little HUD, make that safe area as small as possible because it's obviously an issue right here that they will notice how big of an issue it is once they change it. If you don't notice it by now, when you're watching it and you haven't changed yours, definitely go ahead and check in your settings. Make your safe area as small as possible. Probably one of the biggest adjustments you can make just to your HUD that allows you to be a little bit more consistent at being able to pay attention to the mini-map and what you're aiming at. The other recommendation I would make is for them to just drop mountain. Mountain didn't seem to help them at all, especially since they weren't running a suppressed weapon. They didn't stay off the mini-map every time they fired the weapon, and they stay lit up on the mini-map for a good 3 or 4 seconds after they fired their weapon. So it's almost useless. I would highly recommend running armored, maybe expeditionary, even the new division commando, so they can get 2 basic trainings. Maybe run ordnance with something else, maybe escalation if they want to get those feeds, or maybe try one of the other basic trainings. But overall, I would say change up the class setup, navigate the map a little bit more smartly. Maybe changing the HUD will help out with that, but pretty much you want to only maintain 2 objectives. A lot of this split capping is not a good thing, and it's very bad for maintaining longer streaks. So hopefully this player sees some improvement from some of those simple changes and they get back to me in the comment section somewhere. And if you guys did enjoy the video so far, remember to hit the like button. I still have a couple more subscriber gameplays to break down, so hopefully you're hanging in there. If you're enjoying the video, brand new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn those notifications on. Let's get into the next gameplay. This next piece of gameplay is on USS Texas. Can be playing kill confirmed using a PPSH, running expeditionary, double S mine, double TACnade. So pretty straightforward class there. They are running the bombing run, which is surprising to me, because basically if you're going to get a bombing run, you might as well have the ball turret gunner. From watching this player, they're a pretty smart player. They tend to backpedal, which is pretty good. A lot of times when you get in certain gunfights, you do want to be able to make sure that you're able to limit those deaths from shotguns. So you can see right here, he ends up kind of moving around the map, gets a quick little kill there, goes to the ground. Commando would probably actually be a good division for this player because they actually can get those double kills. They can actually gun up and get back into the action pretty quick, because when you actually watch them play, they don't miss too many shots, which tells me their accuracy is pretty good. And then as they navigate around the map, they make sure they choose the right sight lines. Obviously, he saw that gunfire, so he's backpedaling. You want to make sure he can win that gunfight. It looks like the guy had a pistol. It was kind of hard to tell from that angle, but the guy was running mounted, so he kind of just gets out of that position. He ends up running through here. There is a guy with resistance, as you can see. It's hard to tell where the guy's at. Odds are the guy's either upstairs behind him or upstairs about to come down these stairs, depending on how he's positioned. And he's able to take out that guy pretty easily. And you're going to see what he does right here. He positions himself pretty smart, because what he does, he puts the S-mine there to at least block the doorway. And then he takes an angle at which it's a little bit harder for him to get sniped at. Since he doesn't really feel comfortable with that range, he makes a smart move to this outside. So very smart play. Breaking the sight line. You could either do this through the ship, or you could do it around this right side, because you can break the line of sight, because those snipers, is a little bit harder for them to see you, especially if you're running a little bit lower on the ground. Right here, he's peeking the area, kind of see what's going on. He ends up repositioning, come around. He gets lucky that the guy ran right past through mid. Easy kill for him. But ideally, he wants to get out of this situation. This is not a good sight line. You can see he ends up picking the guy off. He has very good accuracy, and he strategically places that S-mine to cover his back better than a teammate will. You can see there are teammates up in the window, but you can't really trust those people. This guy jumps over, so perfect little kill there. But he's overstaying his welcome. I would definitely recommend him get out of this position. He ends up killing these guys. I don't know why they're not coming for these revenge kills, but he's getting some easy kills here where he probably would have get a ball turret gunner. He's absolutely going off. He's able to hold this position down a little bit longer than he should. Then he gets out of there. So a very smart move on that part, especially since that bombing run's going to start coming through and demolishing his opponents. He probably wants to move a little bit out of that way. Obviously, what we've seen so far is a very good player with good gun skill and plays very smart, positioned the right way. A lot of these aren't even gunfights. He really only got into tough situations in the beginning when there really wasn't that much map control. Obviously, since he called in all his streaks, the spawns flipped. His teammates all rotated to the other side of the map. They've died, they spawn back there, and then they anchor. You can see he positions himself really well, and he's maximizing the strengths of his weapon. A lot of the ranges that you're seeing him getting engagements at, bouncing betties, hook him up, covered himself. There's teammates all around. There are people running all around that area. That guy just sneaks right through, runs through the door, ends up getting S-mined. Now it's a little tricky because this guy with the resistance looks like he was upstairs. Teammates killed him. Now he's playing really safe. You can see how he's kind of playing a little bit soft because he probably wants to maintain this streak. Probably going for a V2 streak. He probably needs about 7 more kills with his gun to actually get that little V2 streak. But he's playing very cautiously. You can see how he's waiting and letting a lot of the streaks do the action. Teammates are picking up all these tags. So he might have been better off maybe running ordnance in this scenario. But then again, he would have had less streaks. So kind of a trade-off every time you switch between blitzkrieg and ordnance. Obviously get the more powerful streaks. But you're seeing how they're playing. He's playing very campy right now. But that's okay. In this particular scenario, his teammates are picking up a lot of those tags. You can see how many assists he's getting. And you can see he's very methodical about his movement. You can see when he's timing this push. Luckily, the guy was coming over the top. He was able to get a good line of sight. Absolutely melts him. The accuracy of this player, their sensitivity is right on point. This is a little bit of a risky move. Like I said, you could get a little bit risky there. Obviously, the little bombing run comes through, clears up the job. And it looks like the spawns are starting to flip because his teammate just spawned in front of him. So now it's another risky transition. Anytime you flip spawns, it's always going to be a little risky. Keep in mind, all you're going to see right here is a lapse of judgment and overconfidence in gun skill. Pretty much he was firing right there. That was a gunfight that he probably should not have won. 9 out of 10 times, he's probably not going to win that unless that person is just horribly bad. He is going to lose that gunfight. And because of the way he's positioned, he puts himself in a bad spot. He could have easily ran through those doors, dove in, and use that time to reassess how he wanted to approach that, because he could have probably went through the ship, up the stairs, shoot that same guy, had a better angle on him from a different angle. Maybe they're looking still at the same spot. One of the main reasons I want to include this gameplay, even though it's practically flawless for that first part, is because a lot of times subscribers will say, man, I get to that 19-20 streak and I just keep choking off my streaks. Well, a lot of it has to come down with consistency. If you are consistent 95% of that match and you end up finding yourself inconsistent for 5% of the match, that's probably when you're going to die. The only time that this player had a lapse in judgment it caused them to die, and then they started being out of position and they ended up on several death streaks. So obviously consistency is key. If they would have made the smart decision at that point, they would have kept the streak alive and they would just survive longer and chain those streaks together, had plenty of unstoppable medals. But obviously one little mistake ends that streak. So keep that in mind. Consistency at all facets of the game. How you're positioning. Are you playing smart? Are you paying attention to the minimap? Are there a lot of variables in your class setup? Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're focusing on all these different variables. We're going to transition to the next gameplay. If you're enjoying the gameplay so far or any of the tips, remember to hit the like button. Again, I know I've reminded you 3 times, but a lot of times people forget and they just don't do it. So I'll remind you again. If you're brand new to the channel and you're still watching, you should probably hit that subscribe button. So this next gameplay we're going to look at, they're running armored with the PPSH, Blitzkrieg, so they could potentially run out of ammo, especially if they go on a long streak. They are playing Gridiron on Arden Forest. And you can see right here, their HUD is messed up as well. In my opinion, the HUD needs to be as small as possible. And I know I've mentioned that for 3 different subscribers, but it is a huge difference. This player obviously has good gun skill. Again, I'm not going to emphasize this player's gameplay too much because they're an amazing player as well. But obviously, everyone has a little bit of room for improvement, even if they absolutely decimate their enemy team. What's great about Gridiron is the spawns really don't flip. Unless your entire team is in the enemy spawn, there will be a half-second split there where they do flip and then you got to rotate out and then obviously they go back to normal spawns. So a lot of times when you're able to rotate, control the spawns, it's very predictable. That's why he's able to pre-aim this area for so long, knowing that more than likely someone's either going to run out right in front of him or they're going to run out from this right side. So you can see he has pretty good accuracy, lines up the shot, takes the guy out, repositions, and tends to relocate around this right side of the map. Ideally, if you're going to run around with the PPSH, this is a pretty good side of the map. I would prefer probably sticking around that house side just because you can get a little bit closer. You can run through the spawn. There's a lot of variation there. But it looks like the person has a good grasp of how they need a position. They end up rotating back and forth. They get some easy kills. And then they kind of just rotate back, make sure they get the full health. One thing I did want to point out is they're in a very tricky spot, especially the teammates running behind them. So this is pretty cool that the teammates running this side. But as far as map control, he's pretty much the only one holding it down until these teammates rush to this side. Obviously the ball went this way, so his teammates decided to pursue. He's already on a quick streak there. Got a merciless pretty easily, not doing anything crazy. Cuts off that spawn. But you got to be very aware with that because he put that through the middle of the map. And personally, the ideal placement of that would have been by the A flag where it normally is in domination. Because what happened is he would have cut off that spawn, would have made sure that they spawn in this area. All of his teammates would have pushed up and they would have had a pretty good lockdown of where they're spawning from. Where he's at right now, he's either going to get swarmed like you see he does right here, or there's literally someone behind him that will spawn and he can get shot in the back. So the ideal thing for him to do in that scenario would have been to back up just a little bit, go up on that head glitch where the B flag is, so that when people are running out of spawn, they're only coming from the straight direction. Even if you're getting bum rushed, at least you can use some of that cover to get out of there, take one out, reposition, take another one out. But the where he was exactly right there, easily going to get naded, easily going to get rushed up on like he did, be able to come around flank pretty good. So a lot of times what ends up happening is people make simple mistakes by sitting in a spot for too long, and it makes them pretty much predictable to anyone except for a really bad bot player. Usually if you're in the same spot killing people for a little bit of time, if you're going against an average player, they're going to start headhunting you. They're going to want to end your streaks. They're not going to be happy that you're getting your little paratroopers and bombing run and all that type of stuff depending on what your streaks are. They're not going to be happy with that. They're going to come headhunting for you. And those are the players that go 5 and 50 and they don't care because they killed you those 5 times that ended your streak. Players obviously aggressive, choosing sight lines that are probably not the best. No teammates are pushed up. So they're pretty much just spawn trapping by themselves. Position here, going against players that probably aren't very great, but they are just absolutely demolishing them, camping them in their spawn. And as soon as they push up too far, now someone's spawning over here at the house. So you gotta be aware of that. See the guy spawned at the house, pushed out, teammate pushed too far up. So you put yourself at risk. Luckily, this guy has no clue that he's being shot at. He doesn't turn around once. So very lucky that he's playing against a lobby where these guys don't want to shoot him in the case. So I'm not going to do too much of a breakdown. Obviously, the player absolutely goes off. Pretty good player, good lobby. But doesn't miss too many shots. Plays very aggressively. But it's something to be aware of is playing smart is a lot of times positioning. And they're pushing too far forward. And that's why enemies are spawning behind them or in bad spots. So I definitely change up your strategy just a little bit. And you probably would have had even more V2s than you already have. Had even longer streaks than you've had just by changing up something so simple. Typically, I don't really like these types of gameplays that I've done today just because all the players are so amazing and they play really well and they go on really long streaks, that it makes it just that much harder to break down their gameplay. Ideally, you want to have a gameplay where someone goes 20 and 10, and I see they died 10 times. 8 of the 10 were preventable. 2 of the 10, they were either shotgunned or quick scoped or something like that. But ideally, you want to be able to have some feedback where I'm saying, hey, you could have done this differently. But a lot of these players are playing pretty smart, so it's kind of more being nitpicky about some of the things that they're doing. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. If you did, remember to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.